You will have no idea what the hell we're talking about. First guy had to leave the country, move to Hawaii. Second guy gets assassinated by the Korean CIA. Third guy is put in prison and sentenced to death.
And I think Korea's biggest problem, its demographic crisis, is really going to come to light because of this.
You will have no idea what the hell we're talking about. We're on the fringe. I'm Gavin. This is Dave. Say hey, Dave. We are looking at the most wonderful list. Dave made a little list, and he's checking it twice. And it is a list of all the Korean presidents, I'm assuming since the war.
More naughty or more nice, Gavin?
I mean, it's just a straight up list of naughty. I mean, it is first guy had to leave the country, move to Hawaii. Second guy gets assassinated by the Korean CIA. Third guy is put in prison and sentenced to death. Fourth is put in prison, later pardoned. Fifth guy, no, he's good. Nothing happened to him. Sixth guy won the Nobel Prize. So that's nice. That's a nice thing. Guy after him killed himself, so that's not great. Lee Myung-bak, convicted of embezzlement and corruption and then went to prison. Park Geun-hye was impeached, imprisoned, later pardoned. Moon Jae-in actually just left.
Yeah. And
now we have wonderful news on Yoon Suk-yeol. So we have been talking about Yoon Suk-yeol for a long time, Dave. And let's just talk about really quickly, for someone who has no idea who the hell this guy is. Who is he?
So, former president of South Korea, he was just given a life sentence for declaring martial law in December 2024. Lasted only about 6 hours, but this had a tremendous effect on South Korea as a country and on how South Koreans see their government. Went through a very, very long trial. Some Koreans actually wanted him or expected him to get the death penalty. Roughly a third of the Koreans thought that, yeah, Yoon is going to be executed or he's going to get the death penalty and just stay in prison until he dies. Didn't happen. He was given a life sentence. And well, he's kind of following this trend of a lot of other former Korean presidents, where you step into the Blue House, and then you step out, and then you step into the slammer at some point afterward.
Yeah. I mean, it is just sort of, it's particularly stark having it all written out. I mean, man, if you want to just ruin your life, get elected president of Korea. I mean, I'm looking at this, and there are literally 3 people who either had no or a positive outcome. And this is out of over 10 people.
You wonder if there's something on Polymarket where you could say, okay, well, the next president of South Korea, and when would they have the next? Well, I don't know when they would have the next election because
I don't even know.
They keep going through presidents so quickly.
They keep going through presidents, and I don't even know when they have to call the next election. Because there was that whole thing where they had an interim guy, and then he was getting impeached, and then they brought another guy.
Also got put in prison as well.
But but he's back now, isn't he?
No, the prime minister was also in prison too, and then the former minister of defense was also in prison.
I mean, you know what?
My understanding. I'm going to double check that.
I will say, from my end, it's great to see. It's always good to see politicians held to account. I'm very much in favor for that. But I do believe there was a period where pretty much anyone like tangentially involved in a position of power in South Korea was either in prison or looking at prison or being threatened with going to prison. It was an odd situation for a couple of months. Not that a lot of those people didn't deserve it, because they did, but it was just sort of a interesting position for the country to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. And the country politically now, too, is in a very interesting position. Or
Hmm.
a lot of Koreans just wanted this trial to go away. They wanted Yoon just, okay, whatever happens, happens. He goes away to prison or he's not charged with anything and he gets off. Just let this thing go away. But
Yeah.
this is not going to go away as many Koreans want. I think this is going to stay front and center for the country for the next couple of years. And you look at the right in Korea, you had the Saenuri party under Park Geun-hye. So when she was
Hmm.
arrested, her whole entire party was basically swept away with her. Came back as the PPP, the People's Power Party under Yoon. Now they're in a similar position where they're reeling. They don't have a young leader. And I think
Hmm.
Korea's biggest problem, its demographic crisis, is really going to come to light because of this.
Hmm.
Because they don't have any young leadership in the country. And if Korea does not have young leadership, I think young people are getting more involved in politics. But I think for the Korean right, they need to have a younger leader if they want to stay relevant in the future.
And that's going to be more and more difficult, particularly as their voter base dies off.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it has been it. I mean, it always seemed like sort of a massive own goal from Yoon because as bad as things maybe were for him politically, essentially the second this thing happened, everyone went, "This is the biggest mistake. This is the biggest and weirdest mistake anyone's ever made." And I think it has crippled, not again, as you point out, not that the right was doing particularly well, but they're really rudderless at the moment. And I think there was sort of a hope early on in the saga that he was going to turn into some kind of martyr for the movement. I mean, I don't know about you, Dave. I don't see that happening.
No, that's definitely I think not the case here. I think it's
Hmm.
okay, he's just out and we're going to find somebody else. If Korea and the Korean right especially wants to stay relevant, I think they're going to have to because just really quickly, most of the supporters of Korea's right are primarily older
Hmm.
and younger men.
Hmm.
And right now, Korea is going through a tremendous, I would say, fertility crisis where it's set to be the oldest country in the world by 2045. It has a very, very low birth rate, the lowest in the world, actually. I think, yeah, it's the lowest in the world. And their birth rate has dropped from 0.98 babies per woman in 2020 to 0.75 in 2024. So
Which
they're
is
losing
low.
people.
Just
They're
just to be
losing people.
clear, they're losing people, and they're losing people at I mean, again, that's a below Japan rate. That's pretty low.
Yeah.
That's like impressively low. Um, so yeah. So that's I think definitely you're correct in surmising that's kind of the mover behind a lot of this and a lot of the sort of political ructions going on at the moment. And you'd like to see some sort of resolution or at least a period of stability for Korea. And I think I agree that it's probably in everyone's best interest to forget about Yoon, but that sort of hidden instability is not going to go away.
No, no, it's not.
Those structural problems. I mean, they come from the fact that really the Republic of Korea is a very unique place. It has a unusually existential relationship with the only country it has a border with. It has strained relationships with the two big neighbors that it has maritime borders with. It has, I think, not a fraught, but a maybe more ambiguous relationship with America than it's had in the past, where it's not entirely clear what our posture is in relationship to them. And I think the only thing that is clear is that it's not as close as it used to be.
Yeah.
And there's going to be less support. North Korea is going to be less of a priority and that came out in the national security document. What's that called? Doctrine that you showed me recently from the U.S., where North Korea is still a security priority, but it's just not as much as it used to be. The military support is going to be downgraded. I remember a conversation we had, I want to say a year ago, it's maybe more recent than that, just talking about the possibility of a South Korean nuclear deterrent. And I remember, I think when I brought that up, that was kind of like, ooh, just, these kooky people in think tanks were bringing this up, and everyone was like, that's not going to go anywhere. And now you're starting to hear it really from both sides of the political spectrum. And you're starting to hear more like, well, it's not great, but it might be a nice thing to have.
Yeah. Well, and too,
Um,
as relationships rupture,
yeah,
I think you're going to have countries that are more regional powers, like South Korea, step up and go, well, we need to fill this vacuum, and we're going to fill this vacuum with our military, and we're going
yeah.
to defend ourselves, and we're not going to depend on somebody else to be there for us. We need to be there for ourselves. They're going to take matters into their own hands, plain and simple.
And they've already, I mean, you can argue that they've already done that to an extent with the defense industry. I mean, South Korea has, particularly in recent years, become one of the world's leading military exporters, and I think a pretty favorable one. That industry continues to move by leaps and bounds. But to go back to what you were talking about, the demographic crisis affects military strength as well. This is a country that's dependent on the draft. If you have fewer and fewer young Koreans, the pool of people you're going to pull into the army or the military, excuse me, is just going to be less and less. And that's another demographic issue you have, again, if you're basing your security doctrine around having a conscript army.
Well, I think now
So,
the government and EJ Myung's team is looking at this and going, okay, we need to push tech. And they're
yeah,
obviously trying to grow their semiconductor companies, Samsung and Daewoo, and their chaebol are still, I would say, relatively strong. They are getting more competition from other countries, but they're also pushing their soft power.
yeah,
And
no, definitely.
I think the Koreans in the next couple of years are going to keep pushing this soft power that's gone through Asia. You guys have Netflix, you've probably seen Squid Game, everybody knows K-pop now. And this is just going to continue to grow where the
Yeah.
country is going to be a soft power superpower. And
Well,
they
and
may
I
not
mean, I could,
have they may not have the people, but they will have the technology to get their message out. And they will
yeah.
understand how people consume and want to hear a message, and they will be able to target those people perfectly.
I don't know if that's a ominous note to end on or a
I don't
positive
either.
note to end on. But I think that's the truth of it, and that's certainly the direction the current government in Korea wants to go in. Um, well, thanks for that, Dave. I mean, that's edifying as always. And again, not the simplest situation in the world,
No.
but yeah, that is the sort of just curious position South Korea finds itself in today.
Hmm.
And yeah, uh,
Literally stuck and sandwiched in the middle.
just stuck in the middle of everything. And good old Yoon stuck in prison for the time being. Not to call back too much, but you think there's already a betting pool on Polymarket about whether or not he gets pardoned?
I bet there is. I
I
bet
bet
there
there
is.
is too. I bet there is too. Anyways, on that note, please like, comment, and subscribe if you like this podcast. If you didn't like this podcast, write in. Write a long, multi paragraph email telling me why you didn't like this in spare no details and write in as soon as possible.
We
And
will read every word.
you will win a chance to be read out on the internet to a select audience, a very select audience. Um, yeah, but please do like, comment, and subscribe if you have not subscribed already. We appreciate our On the Fringe community, and I think there's only one thing left to do. Dave, I
What's that, Gavin?
think it's time to hit the button.
Button time. Button. Who's got the button?
Oh,
I
come
got the
on.
button. I got the button. I'm just sitting here.